Hey, this is Tiger Swan. I'm with the QCC Library. We're going to do a tutorial for you for business marketing, social media. And just to start off with, on our Q page here, when you're on the Q page, the library is located on the left-hand margin under the quick links section. You can just get to us by clicking on library. We're also easily found just qcc.edu/library. So that's the easy URL to remember. So that'll take you to us also. Just to point out on our homepage, when we are available, there'll be a green chat button that you can chat with us. So you can ask us your question that way. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're one more resource for you while you're at QCC. So take advantage of your librarians. We can help you with any kind of information need that you've got. So feel free to chat with us. Down at the very bottom, you've got our other contact information. Our phone number is listed here. Our email address, which should be listed there, is reference@qcc.mass.edu. So again, reference@qcc.mass.edu will be our email address that you can email us questions also if it's after hours. And it shows our hours down at the bottom there. So our homepage search also searches most everything that we have. You are in a business course, so we're going to show you how to get to our business databases. So we're not going to search for everything, including the history databases and political science and that sort of thing. We won't go into the homepage search so much during this session, but we want to take you into just a little bit further below that, under where it says your virtual bookshelf. It has a link to the databases that we have. So if you click and go into those, there's a subject here. You can type in the subject business. You can highlight that and then go over to search, and that brings up our business databases. Primarily, we're going to look in the 2B databases. Today, we're going to look at Business OneFile and Business Source Complete as two of our databases that we have for business. So if we click on Business OneFile, that'll take you to that database. I generally start off doing an advanced search, so it gives me multiple search boxes. So we can type in the search box something like, in the first one, we can type in social media. The reason I'm putting it in quotation marks is because social media is two words. I don't want to look for social and the word media. I want to look for social media because it means one thing. That keeps the words together when I put the quotation marks around it. So I want to add that in there. If I want to add in another term, I can do something like customer loyalty. And again, that's a two-word keyword phrase. So I'm keeping those two words together by using the quotation marks again. And I'll search that and see what kind of results I get. So it's showing me the results that I have at the top. It defaults to the academic journal articles to show me. It's showing me I've got 148 magazine articles and 443 newspaper articles. Now, when it comes to evaluating information, our credibility is going to be higher with the academic journals than it will be with the magazines and it will be with the newspapers, but we still can get ideas and information from the magazines and newspaper articles that we find using the database. If you scroll down, you can scroll through to see what some of the titles of these are. Over on the right-hand side here, you got a publication date. So if you find that you're finding a lot of older articles, this one down here is from October 2010. You can click on publication date and change your date here. I can choose my year by clicking on that. So let's say if I wanted to go back just to 2015 maybe or something like that, I can click on 2015, say January, and then you have to put a 2. So you can just click on today's date and then apply that, and that'll take you down. So that cut off 2 articles is all for the academic journal articles, but it cut off quite a few magazine articles. So now we're down to 54 magazine articles in our search results. When you find one that looks of interest to you, you want to click on the title to go into the full record. So I'm going to click on the title here. Now this is a Gale database, and this is what it looks like when we're in a Gale database. It gives you the title here. You've got the full record starting with the full text here. You can scroll through and read through the full text of the article. It highlights our search terms that we use. So we see customer loyalty in orange, social media is orange there. And I always recommend emailing the article to yourself. Down at the very bottom of the article, you've got the citation for the article. So you can select APA citation, MLA citation, and I always recommend copying that. You've got the citation up at the top too. It's at the bottom, but it's also linked at the top here. You've got a little cite icon that will bring up the citation that way. So you can come up here and select it, copy it. And I'm pointing out to copy that before you go into email the article to yourself, because you're going to want to email it to yourself to keep track of it. So clicking on the email button here, the little envelope, that brings up where you would type in your email address. And then down in the message box is where you can paste in your citation. This database, unfortunately, doesn't have a citation built into the email like the other databases that we're going to show you has. So that's why we copy and paste the citation and put it into the message there before we send it to ourselves. So that way we get the citation for the article as well. All right. There is a link, so we can click on where it says get link and copy the link. And we copy that. So if we've got any question about the article, if we want to share the article with our professor, we can copy the link and then paste the link into an email. I point that out because a lot of times the URL up at the top is not a permanent link. So that's why you're looking for where it says permalink or persistent link, or in this case, it just says get link. So that way you know that the link itself will be a permanent link back to the record. So look for that when you're in a database. So that's Gale 1 file looking at. If we exit out of Gale 1 file, we can go into Business Source Complete back to our databases page. In our business databases, we're going to look in Business Source Complete, click on that one and go into that. Again, I'm going to type in social media in quotation marks. And then in the second box, I can type in something else that I'm interested in. If I want to type in something like brand awareness. Again, it's a 2-word keyword, so I'm wanting to look for brand awareness, not the word brand and awareness. I'm wanting to look for it as a phrase, so I put the quotation marks around it. There's some other ways of limiting it down below. You can see. I'm going to just do a search here within the database for my 2 keywords that I've used. I've got 690 results. Now, the nice thing with the date range here is a lot easier to use than the other database was. I can just use the slide rule here. So if I want to look at, go to 215 again, 2015, slide rule that. I've now got 488 results in my search. And then I might see that there's some that show up that don't look like they're in English. So over on the left-hand margin, there's a language link here, and I can check the box for English only. So now I'm just looking at articles that are in English. Very similar to the other database. When you find one that looks of interest to you, you can click on the title to go into the full record. Now these records for the articles have an abstract. I can see here on my source line, it's telling me where it's coming from. In this case, it's coming from a journal. It tells me the date that it's coming from just last year, and it's telling me it's 20 pages. I don't have to read through all 20 pages to get a sense of what it's about. I have an abstract here which tells me a brief summary of what it's going to be talking about. So I've got a 1-paragraph summary of the article, which really saves me a lot of time in determining whether this article is going to be relevant to what I'm looking for or not. Your full text in this database always shows up to the left of the title. So as I'm looking at the title, look over to the left, it's a PDF full text. So that full text does exist. My tools over on the right-hand side, you've got your email tool here. You've got the cite tool, so bringing up your citation, and you've got the permalink tool. Now, the permalink and the cite tool are both included in the email. So I always recommend emailing the articles to yourself. So clicking on email, you plug in your email address there. And then over here on the right-hand side, under where it says citation format is a drop-down. You can click on that and select which citation style you want to use. So you can select APA citation. That's going to send you the APA citation to your email. Up above here, you see it says it's also including the PDF as an attachment in your email. And even though it doesn't tell you this, it is going to send you a permalink back to the record, because as I said, this link up here at the top, in this case, is not permanent. It's going to time out after 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, I'm not going to see anything with that link up there. I want to use the email option to send the article to myself, which will in turn send me a permanent link back to the record. So if I have any questions for my professor, if I have any questions for a librarian about an article, I can use the permalink and enter that into chat and then ask them about it. So if it's an article, some articles you may have questions about how to access the full text to. Again, the permalink, copy paste that, and that gets you that email or that chat. Enter that into chat, and we'll be able to help you with that. Now, I always like to point out the subject terms that are being used for this. We did not ask it for it to be this 2 keyword terms that we use to be subjects, but they do show up as subject terms. And that's one way of narrowing our results. So we've got 449 results that show up. This article actually has brand awareness and social media as subjects of the article. The way we did our search, we just wanted the terms to show up somewhere in the record. So it could have shown up just in the abstract. In this case, it does show up in the abstract as well. So if it shows up in the summary of the article, that's usually pretty good too, meaning it's going to be pretty relevant to what we're looking for. But one way we can narrow our searches a little bit further is say, well, let's look for social media as a subject term. So over here to the right of each of our search boxes is a drop down. And I can drop it down to subject terms. Now we're saying we want social media of these 449 results that we have. We want social media to be a subject of those. So of that, we're now down to 291 results. So we got rid of about 200 results with that, just by saying we wanted it to be a subject term. So that's one way of narrowing your results. Let me try to find another one here. Brand openness, awareness, and interest. Muslim friendly travel agencies in Malaysia. So it's giving you the brand awareness is a subject term and social media is a subject term. Again, we didn't ask for brand awareness to be a subject term, so that's a little bonus there. We got both of them showing up as subject terms. You've got the abstract here that shows up, gives you a concise summary of what these 14 pages are going to be talking to you about. This is a pretty current article. Now, as I mentioned, your full text always shows up to the left of the title. Now, as I look over here on the left-hand margin, it says request this item through interlibrary loan. So you want to click on this to bring up the form for interlibrary loan. That's a way of borrowing items from other libraries. So QCC doesn't have this article specifically, but we can fill in the top portion of this form, and then the bottom portion is already filled out. And then once we fill out the top portion, we can just submit it. And then that goes off to a librarian and we try to find the article for you and email it to you that way. One of the things that asks you for is your library card, which is your barcode number. Your barcode number can be requested through through the queue. So when you log into the queue, you can go in through Blackboard is your access into Blackboard. On the Blackboard welcome page, there's a section for the library. And under that section, there's a link that says request library barcode. And that's how you can request a library barcode. Don't give up on an article just because it's an interlibrary loan. It might be a really good article. So we tell students it takes up to 5 business days to get articles through interlibrary loan. We could turn it around within 24 hours sometimes. It really depends on the article itself. Occasionally, we're not able to find the article, so don't put all your hopes onto one article because we might not be able to access it. But definitely request items through interlibrary loan if you find an article that looks of interest to you. So when you find something that looks of interest to you, you don't care where it's at, you just want to be able to access it. A lot of these were full text in PDF. Here's another article. When I click and go into it, I see over on the left-hand margin, it says full text finder. The full text finder is kind of a click process, whereas I click on the link for full text finder, it gives me one or more links. It could list a whole bunch of links. Any one of the links that lists here after I click on full text finder should take me to the full text of the article. Here it's only giving me one. So if I click on this link, it looks like it's taking me to the publisher's page for the article, for the journal. And then here's where it takes me. Sometimes the full text finder is a little more tricky to find the article because here it's taking me to the current issue. Maybe the article is not in the current issue. This is from November 23. So it doesn't look like it's going to be the current issue. It's from volume 7, issue 2. I'm going back to the article record here to find a little more information in the source line here. Volume 7, issue 2. If I go back to the publisher's page here, I can look in the archives. Here, we're looking at the current issue. If I go back to the archives here, here's volume 7, number 2. That's the one I'm looking for. I click on that. See how it's a little more work here? It didn't take me right to the full text of my article. Now I need to remember what the article, impact of social media. You need to scroll down to find it, and here's the article right here. So here's the article that we're looking for. And then we got the PDF. There's a PDF over there. I was going to say, well, there is a PDF somewhere. The PDF was also listed in the article as we listed. It's right there. So there's how you find the access to the full text of the article. It's a little trickier. That's why I wanted to point out the permalink for you. So you can grab the permalink. If you're having a hard time finding the article, just go ahead and go to the permalink and then go back to the library page and go to the chat button here. You can type in, how do I find this? And then paste in the permalink there, fill out your name and information there, and then start the chat and we can help you try to find the article. So definitely utilize chat because it's available and it's there for you. Another thing with the database here, Business Source Complete, let's start another search here with Business Source Complete. So if we're looking for, say, Hershey, if I want to find information about the Hershey Corporation, I can do a search. And right away, it's giving me a SWOT analysis. It doesn't necessarily always give you that as the first result that shows up. But here's a SWOT for Hershey. And this is from 11/22. I can click and go into that. And over here to the left of the title, as I've said, is my full text for it. So I click the PDF, and there's my SWOT analysis for Hershey. So this database is really good for obtaining SWOTs. You can do it with a lot of different corporations. As long as it's a publicly funded corporation, you should not have very much difficulty finding a SWOT analysis for it. Here's company profile for Verizon, And then the second result here is a SWOT analysis. So you got a little bit of both. You got an 86-page company profile, and then you got their SWOT analysis as the second option there. Now, again, you've got the PDF over there. I recommend clicking on the email option over on the right-hand side to email it to yourself, as well as the APA citation for the article, and sending that to yourself so you can email yourself the SWOT analysis for the company. If you've got any questions after this, feel free to ask us. Play around with your keywords. We can try one more here. Social media. And we can do maybe web traffic. Now with that search, I've got 313 results that show up. I can limit it again. You know, it really depends on your professor as far as how far back they want you to go with your research. Here we've got 187 results. The first one is a request an item through interlibrary loan, so we know how to do that now. We can scroll through and see our results. Now, one of the things that I look at when I'm looking at an article is I pay attention to these subject terms. So looking at it, we can see that it's using as a subject term internet traffic. I use the subject term web traffic, which I found 187 results for, but we want to think of what are some other ways of saying that. So the database here is telling us that they use the term internet traffic. So if I search through my results that I had with web traffic, now I might switch up my search a little bit and try the term internet traffic instead and see what I get. Here I'm getting 178 results. Now these 178 results aren't exactly the ones that we found within the 180 some results that we just did with web traffic. There are going to be some different results here because we're using a different term. So pay attention to that too. Pay attention to the keywords that you're using and take a look at the keywords that the databases are using, whether they're in their list of subject terms or whether they're in the abstract. Sometimes you'll get ideas for other subject terms to use or keyword terms to use in the abstract of your article record. So that's something to pay attention to. All right, so remember, reaching us from our library homepage, qcc.edu/library. Down at the bottom has our contact information. Up at the top here, our search box, which searches most everything that we have. We've got to the right of that, our chat button. Now, some articles might be interdisciplinary, so they might touch on business as well as another discipline. That's why it might sometimes be helpful too in looking at our homepage search, which searches most all the databases, including the two that we were just looking in. So with social media, we start off with the homepage search, just putting in one search term. So I started with social media. I'll show you the difference between putting the quotation marks around it and not putting quotation marks around it. So we get about 10 million results with putting quotation marks around it. We get more than double that without looking at it with quotation marks. So again, it's really important if you've got a phrasal term to search it as a phrase. So because this is not a business necessarily focused database, I might want to put in terms like marketing. And then put in something like customer loyalty. So that narrows it down. So we're not getting other disciplines, a lot of other disciplines. We are going to get, as I said, possibly some cross-disciplinary articles, but we'll get some other articles too that are not showing up in specifically the two databases that we were looking at. So that's something to keep in mind. We've got our homepage search set up so that we're only finding articles that we have in full text. So if you're interested in finding articles that are available through Interlibrary Loan, you can uncheck the box that says available in library collection. So that'll bump us up. Instead of 44,000, we got 68,000. And that first one that shows up here is an Interlibrary Loan article. Let's try to do some articles that are more recent. So we'll say 2020 is I hit enter after I enter my year date that I'm looking at. And I've got 30,000 results that are looking at this. Looking at the second one here to the left of the title, as I mentioned, this one's saying view record in DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journals. So if I click on that, that takes me to the full text of the article. Here, I click on read online and that takes me into the full text of the article. It's very similar to Business Source Complete. When I'm looking at the homepage search, it's got the tools on the right-hand side that are exactly like the tools in Business Source Complete. So I can click on email, plug in my email address, select my citation style, and send that off to myself. I've got the permalink over there on the right-hand side too. When I email it, it will email me the permalink. So it's very similar to that. This just gives you ideas for some other sources that may not be available in the two databases that we looked at already. Subject term here, social media marketing. So we might try that. We've got marketing in the second box separately. Social media marketing. So instead of 30,000 results, now we're down to 5,157 results. And again, my ability to focus even further as a subject term is available to me. So to the right of my search term is a drop-down box. I can select subject term and narrow it even further. So instead of 5,000 results, now it takes us all the way down to 18 results. So we're really focusing in on what it is that we're looking for. All right, so that's kind of the library in a nutshell. If you've got questions, please reach out to us. I look forward to hearing from you. Librarians are here to help you. So have a good one.